So today we can talk to the students about this essential fundamental unity of religions, because children, the child can accept today. But if we talk about this 50 years back, the children would not have accepted. They said, "Oh, we are Hindus and Hinduism is right. We are Christians, Christianity is right." But today you can talk about it, because basically there is an expansion of mental consciousness. And to add to that expansion, we have technology which is helping us wonderfully. That is all of us know about our question of your internets, your mobiles, your emails. So if you do not think that you are only stationed in Hyderabad, you can do the internet with America or China or Africa. And what's happening? Your mind is jumping to America. Your daughter is there in Singapore. You are there with the daughter in Singapore. And nowadays with all your images that come through, your chat is there, you are talking to the person. So everything, the technology has helped us to enlarge our consciousness. And sometimes I feel, the way the mobiles have come today, it is, we have omnipresence. Like we used to have the God, we are omnipresent, that omniscient, that omniscient. But we are not omnipresent. Now I can become anybody in USA, anybody in China, anybody. So I can be anywhere with an instant of a click of a button. So that's the technology which has brought in a tremendous sense of psychological unity. Remember, technology, there's nothing wrong, and it's in the light to show that I will tell you later, that this expansion of consciousness that technology has brought is extremely important, is extremely present, for the present times. And therefore we see, as I was giving an example, this technology. So that is one thing we have gained, that there is a global consciousness, a global view, and how do we relate this to Sure? Because they say I brought you to one chapter, the impact or the aspects of modern life. Now how do we see this in the light of Sure? How is Sure related to all the computers or mobiles or internet that you have brought about? Sure, though, in fact, in this great book, The Life Divine, in the very first chapter or so, when he was writing this in 1914, almost 100 years back, when they had just begun the telephone, telephone had just been invented. So then he writes, there will be a day when humanity will receive messages without any instruments, the receiver and the sender. And you see, we are all moving toward that. You see, before there was telephone, you have to do all that, and then big telephones, smaller ones, and today there is a chip. It's almost at an invisible point. The sender and the receiver, he didn't predict there will be time. But our ancients had already achieved that. They could send messages, they could read each other's mind without any instruments. That is yoga. But science is pulling you towards that invisibility of the instrumentation. Imagine the small chip is a mirror. So he had predicted that, but what Sure is looking forward to is this globalization of consciousness. And that is what he had written in his dreams. The third dream, he said, I want to see human unity. Unity will be there in the future, where nations will not be stuck to their own national ego, but where there will be a huge, a good complex of human unity. So you see, Sure is going toward that unity, but what builds that unity is this technology, is this global vision. So we see that what all is happening today, at a positive level, Sure would accept that it is an evolutionary process towards that human unity. Because human unity, you can even talk about it, but when you go to live it, you need to have the broadness of heart, as we say, broadness of mind. And most of you perhaps have seen aurobindo. there is a question of human unity being practiced there on the life level. You see, today we are talking about the psychological unity, but when you come to see it aurobindo, it has its own problems. Because unity cannot be achieved so easily. That is the first impact of the material development. The second, if I tell you, now what is it, if I compare once again with the ancient times, what have we gained after the global consciousness? But what we say, a lot of us criticize that the modern consciousness goes by the senses, the sensorial pleasures. That I don't have to expand and explain all that. We know that there is an expansion through our senses. So everywhere that we see the young people going after senses. Now we may not like it. We may not like it. We say, what is this happening? Our children are getting more and more vital, more and more emotional, more and more tendency toward the senses. True. But this senses means what? Let us analyze this more. Senses, the sensorial analysis of pleasure means we are looking at an object from outside. We have the senses of touch and feel and smell, and then I enjoy this object. So my enjoyment is restricted to the senses. Fine. But that has led to all kinds of vital things, all kinds of negative things. We agree. But is sure whether happy or not? I want to see it from the angle of sure. So he would say, this outward gazing, what Sri would use is, this is an outward gazing, that means looking at things from outside. It is composite, it's extensive. But what was the previous way of looking at things in our ancient time? It was the inner way. That means when the senses were not so much at play. Of course, we all live with our senses. But the focus was not the sensorial pleasures. They had always a vision from the inside. The vision was, as we said, the word intensive. And today we are extensive. But when you look at it totally, what have we gained? I already told you, we gained this question of a unity. Unitarian consciousness is expanded. And Sri says, congratulations humanity, you are moving in the right path of evolution. Then he would say, what happens to the sensorial pleasures? Is it right what we are doing? All the food and all the dresses and all that we are trying to do, all that is the outward being. And unfortunately, as Sri explains, this is called the subjective age. Subjective age means I am the subject. You see, till now, this was an object. The flower bouquet was an object. And who is appreciating this object is me. The subject is me. But social order says that we are entering into a subjective age where more than the object I am becoming important. That's why I said, my view is right. You said, your view is right. So everywhere there is a big I. You may say there is a big ego. Fine. So where each one of us is insisting on the I, on the ego, you would say, is it right? Isn't it bad for a human being to all the time be egoistic? But for sure, it is good to be egoistic. In the sense, at least your consciousness has come back to yourself. You are not on the object. Previously, a century back, you should be always attracted to the object. But today, there is a shift when the I has become important. And this I is very important in the sense, it may be an egoistic I today. But sure, this doesn't matter. Let it be an egoistic subject. But at least I have turned my view towards myself. So Sri Aurobindo is happy. He says it's a false subjectivism, but nevertheless subjectivism. Because Sri Aurobindo looks upon the time when the false subjects become the true subject. And what the true subject is your Atma, is the psychic being, what you call it, the psychic consciousness. So there is a procedure. We cannot be so conscious or conscious of our Atman over 50 years or over 100 years. There is a procedure in evolution. So what we are having, this external consciousness, is only a process. So you see your Indian Idol dancing. Plenty of dances, new dances, concentration on the physical. And that physical concentration on the physical is good. Because at least we are becoming aware that body has its own individuality. Till now, body was only an instrument of my pleasure. But today, body is given its own individuality. So there are hundreds of dances, even Bharatanatyam, all the classical dances are also inventing new poses, new asana, new styles of dance. So for sure, this consciousness of the outer senses and the false subjectivism is a step towards the light. So again, sure, what I said, we are following. I mean, in a very large collective manner. Individually, you may not like it, you may say, my child is going to this movie, is going to this thing. Fine. But sure, it is concerned with the collective consciousness. So did you not say, my yoga is different from other yogas, because I am concerned with the collective liberation and not the individual liberation. What all you see in the Asta channel, people speaking to you, is about your mukti, your individual mukti, salvation. But Sri always says, I want the salvation of humanity, not you and me and individual 50 or 5,000 doesn't matter. So that's where we see this question of what to use those words. The ancients achieved two things: the transcendental divine and the indwelling divine. You go into any of your shastras, they speak about Brahman, about the absolute reality, about whatever the highest God they have. And then Gita and everyone said the divine is within here. Fine. The ancients achieved this in a great manner. The scriptures said that, your poetry said that, everything said about that divine and this divine. But then the divine is there at the cosmic level also. They never accepted the cosmic divine. They said, no, all this life is a mithya. Life is a mithya, is an illusion. That means there is no God around. There is only God up there or down here. But Sri Aurobindo insists that there is a divinity around what we call the cosmic divine. So this universal divine was the missing chapter in this human evolution. And Sri Aurobindo sees the present as a fulfillment of the third aspect of the divine, the universal divine. So now imagine, friends, we have the transcendental divine in the great Vedas and Upanishads. We have the universal divine in the present times, already achieving in matter, materialism, in our lifestyle. It may be negative, but Sri Aurobindo does not have any of this negative attitude. He says, no, all this is moving toward the universal divinity. And then we have the indwelling divine in the Gita. All of what all our saints, everybody says, Govinda, anybody, everyone says about this. So ultimately, human level, human consciousness has achieved or is achieving the transcendental, the universal, and the individual. So imagine a person writing 100 years back had this foresight that tomorrow all these things will happen. And they will happen, but they will move toward the fulfillment of human destiny. There's nothing wrong in the eyes of Shiva. But you may say there's a breakdown here, there's a breakdown there, it's fine. There must be a breakdown of the ancient, the old modules. There must be something new. Now, I'd like to go to the second part, which is a little deeper and more philosophical. You see, we have seen this impact of these material attitudes, materialism. But now Shiva takes us to the very crux of matter. You see, again it is concerned with the present consciousness of our emphasis on matter. Because of our emphasis on matter, we have this materialism. Materialism is a philosophy based on matter. So I have told you what is the impact of materialism on our life and how in the vision of Sri Aurobindo, the present materialism is moving towards its fulfillment. Now the second question is, we are emphasizing so much on matter. You see, technology, what is that? It's pure matter. There's a development of matter, and imagine your mobiles, it's purely matter. But 100 years back or 50 years back, there was no receptivity in matter. Matter could not send those messages. See what's happening. You know, we are so blind, we go to the market, we buy the latest material, mobile and say, oh, this is a great model. But have you ever really thought for once that how is it that 50 years back I did not have a mobile and today I have it? That's because matter itself has started responding to spirit. And in another way of looking at it, quote the mother, it's the working of the supermind in matter. It's not that things were not there, but supermind was not there before. It came in 1956. So because of the impact of supermind, matter is responding. So all that we are thinking of technology, it may be 100 times better, maybe in the next 50 years, you may have a mobile just in a button. You may have everything. Even now in your watches, you have got whole mobile there. You have cinemas, you have videos, you have messages, everything in a watch. I've seen that with somebody in Hyderabad. So you see, even the mobile has just become as big as a watch, or as small as a watch. So there is a kind of a densification that's taking place. You know, all of you know the theory of the Big Bang. Big Bang is what? Just one dot. If that little dot which has expanded and become the universe, and now the universe is shrinking back into that little dot. But does it mean that we are going to be destroyed? No. Because we also said in our Veda that the world began with a Bindu. It's from that Bindu Brahman that this universe began. And now the universe with its consciousness will go back to that Bindu. So even your technology, don't be surprised, tomorrow it will become as small as a button and you have the whole universe at that time. So next what we see, there are some pessimists who would say Sri Aurobindo is a blind optimist. How can you believe in Sri Aurobindo when I see the reality like this? You see, sometimes it's difficult to accept. You say, oh, Sri Aurobindo had said India and Pakistan will be united. When I was there, I thought, before I die, I will see that. But I don't have much hope of that now. But is it because of that I believe in Sri Aurobindo? Is it my faith? My faith in Sri Aurobindo will become less? And Sri Aurobindo, many people say, oh, Sri Aurobindo speaks of the Superman. But we are not even men. We are more animals today than man. So how can Sri Aurobindo speak of Superman? The race of God, you know the definition of Superman is one who is completely and constantly guided by soul. We don't know the spelling of soul and Sri Aurobindo speaks of that. How is it possible? Is Sri Aurobindo just a kind of a great optimist and not a realist and not a practical philosopher? Yes. Many people have already objected to that. But I wish to tell them, read the first chapter of the Life of Mind and you'll have the answer. I mean, that's why I'm so enamored by Sri Aurobindo, because he has all the answers to people today and tomorrow, after 100 years also, if you have a question, come back to that, you have to get an answer. And that is how lots of philosophers and people have turned to Sri Aurobindo, because they said, at last, I have found my answers in the light of life. I mean, great philosophers in the West have abundantly Sri Aurobindo. They said, we have at last found answers. And what is the answer here? That this complete contradiction of my present and the future. So Sri Aurobindo would say, nature always employs the logic of the impossible. That's the phrase that you should remember. What you and me employ is logic of the possible. That this cannot be done, this so it cannot be done. Because it's impractical. That's the logic of the possible. How can this glass be turned into thin air right in the first moment? So you say it's not logical, unfair what you're saying, just because you're sitting on the diet, don't speak nonsense. You get it? But Sri Aurobindo says, nature always employs the logic of the impossible. What is the logic of the impossible? He says, did you ever imagine when nature was pure matter? Biologists, teachers, scientists would say, life came out of matter. The scientist says that yes, from matter came life, and from life came man. But Sri Aurobindo says, give me the proof that your first blade of grass came out from rock, from stone. He says, can you ever give it? The scientist will tell you what happened, but the scientist never tells you how it happened or why it happened. So once the grass grows out of the rock, you say, okay, now after that there is a seed and this thing is the sunlight, is air, and blah blah blah, and then you have a nice theory. But Sri Aurobindo says, I'm sorry, I want to ask a question. How was it possible for the dead, so-called dead rock, to give birth to the living blade of grass which becomes the Ashwatha tree tomorrow? So you cannot answer. So this is what you say is impossible, but Sri Aurobindo says, I say it's impossible. How is it? He is applying, he says, life was already in the stone. What is not there will never come out. So what comes out was already precedingly living on the stone. But when that, okay, let me go to the next step. Out of that life came life. I mean, you have plants and you have animals and all that. That's fine. You have a huge history of millions of years where this animal came, that animal came. I will not repeat on that. But then, when the first man came, how was he born? Can you ever imagine from the orangutan, and today scientists say from chimpanzee man was born? Can you say the cleverest of chimpanzee, can you call it man? A chimpanzee, I think, went to the moon also sometime back, years back. You call it a chimpanzee, the chimpanzee who goes to moon or sun or Jupiter, you say it's a monkey. You never say it's a man. So we are surprised, how is it from the so-called animal, man is born? So you say it's illogical, impossible that man can be born from a chimpanzee. But the same theory Sri Aurobindo says, mind was already embedded in the chimpanzee, so the mind of the man could be born. So what am I trying to explain? The logic of the impossible. You see certain things which you cannot believe. You never believe that the beautiful tree of the rose tree could come out of the stone. But nature has that. You could never see out of that orangutan and all that chimpanzees, this beautiful man would come. But nature has done. So he says, mankind, you are aspiring for something beautiful. What we call the kingdom of God. What Sri Aurobindo was the Superman. You want to get all the knowledge in the little chip of computer. But then the life says it's not possible. But then is where he says one day nature will bring about by the same logic of the impossible. So it is like that, don't be disappointed by seeing the present. The present is horrendous. I don't describe, you see your TVs, you see your newspapers, you know that. But it says, keep this flame, keep this aspiration, as the Shri adopted, be sincere in your aspiration and persevere. So let's not be, pessimistic seeing the present world. Sometimes me and Deepshika, we close the shutter, we close our TV because so full of, the evil, the dirt, and you cannot take it anymore. You say, all this is nonsense. So we tend to become pessimistic. But as one great poet said, knowledge is peace. And if you want to get peace, be sure of that. Then knowledge brings you peace, and that peace is called peace of understanding. You see, there is a peace of understanding. Once you reach your level, you get this, oh my God, this is the way that you have to look at the world. So Sri Aurobindo brings you a tremendous amount of hope, peace of understanding, confidence, and you say, no, mankind will go through all this, and we will have that logic of the impossible. And Superman will be there, in spite of me or with me. So that's where we see the second